Have you ever noticed how video games get harder just when you're getting good? Or how Netflix or YouTube always suggest the perfect next show or video to watch? That's artificial intelligence, AI, at work. Welcome to AI for Kids, the podcast where we explore AI together with your parents and teachers. We'll look at how it works in simple ways with real examples. And we'll talk honestly about the worries like safety, privacy, and what it means for the future so everyone feels informed. Are you ready to get started? Let's discover AI together. Guys, welcome back to the AI for Kids podcast. Here's a question for you. Everywhere you turn lately, somebody's saying AI is going to do everything. Write the books, take the tests, drive the cars. It is actually driving cars right now, guys. If you've seen some of these self-driving cars, you know what I'm talking about. And some kids are even a little worried, like, wait, what's left for me to do when I become a grown-up, right? Today's guest has one of the best answers to that questions that I've heard in a long time. He writes books about builders, fixers, and makers, the people who keep the actual world running. Not to say AI doesn't do that, but he thinks about these jobs and making sure kids know they're not going anywhere. So today we're talking with Archie D. Nettles Jr., creator of Trades to the Rescue and the Trades Topless Universe. His work helps kids see builders, fixers, and makers as the heroes, which they are. Welcome to the show, Archie.
Welcome, and thank you, Amber. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to chat with you today, but before we get started and jump into your book, are you open to a lightning round?
Yes, I actually am. Yes, I am. I came ready.
Okay, good. Archie, I'm going to name something, and you tell me if it's a tool, tech, or both. No explanation. I know this is hard for adults to follow this rule. I do it all the time. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Hammer.
Tool.
Okay. Robot.
Tech.
Wrench.
Tool.
AI chatbot.
Tech.
And kids, I want to make sure you're playing at home. You should be also answering this out loud if it's a tool, tech, or both, and seeing if Mr. Archie got it right. All right. Drill.
Tool.
3D printer.
I'd say both.
Okay. Tape measure.
Tool.
Smart helmet.
I'd say both.
Okay. Walkie-talkie.
It's a tool. I'd say both. And technology.
Okay. And your imagination.
I'd say tool and both.
I love that. I love the idea of your imagination as a tool, but it's also a technology, right? Our brain is like one of the best technologies that exists in the world.
Exactly.
I love that. So I love this because kids can hear right away that technology is not just screens, right? A lot of the things that you mentioned, even in our quick lightning round, some people would even argue a hammer is a technology, especially when it first came out, right? It was a new thing that came out and folks think about it that way. But tools help people do things, and AI is one of the tools people use as well, alongside these other tools and a tool that you can use in the future. So let's jump into this amazing book that I have personally and really excited to chat about it today. Pretend I'm a third grader who just picked up your book at the local library or I got it online. In about 30 seconds, what is Trades to the Rescue about and who are the heroes inside?
So Trades to the Rescue is a story about what happens when things go wrong in the world and things go wrong in the city. And Torque and Tori are two curious kids who set out to fix those problems in the world. So in essence, it's basically a story about how the world works and honoring those who fix the problems.
I love that. That's a great answer. And there's this idea of this thing called a trade. What's a trade anyway? Like, I don't know what that means. Do I trade cards or Pokemon cards or trade different cards? But what does a trade mean? If a kid had to explain it tonight, like they may do at dinner to a grown-up in their life, what's the easiest way to say what a trade is?
So the easiest way to say what a trade is or explain it is basically a trade is a hands-on skill. And it's like individuals who work as electricians or a plumber. So imagine your lights going out at home, kids. When the lights go out during a thunderstorm, there's someone who comes to fix that. Well, there's electricians and there's linemen. Linemen are the ones who are outside fixing the lines, the electrical lines, and electricians are those who come into your home and actually fix the problem to make sure the lights go out. Another example would be someone, let's say your plumbing goes out at home. Now, dad could probably go fix it, but if it's something behind the wall, you call a tradesperson, a professional who comes in to fix that problem. So trade skills and trades are hands-on skills that individuals, tradespeople do for a living.
I love that. And right now is like a pretty wild moment to write a kid's book about plumbers and electricians, right? Everyone's talking about AI, robots in the future. What made you think this was the book right now that kids need?
Well, what's interesting is I started to do a lot of research. And in my research and also working in higher education, as well as just doing my own research, I noticed that there was this big gap as it relates to introducing youth to hands-on skills. There's a lot of focus on middle school and high school, but there's not much career awareness with respect to elementary, so they K through 5. Now, there are like career days and events like that, but nothing that specifically focused on introducing youth to trades. Now there's this big shift that's coming, and I did see some books out there, but most of the books that I came across were more informational oriented, or it felt like you were preaching and teaching. My intention was to put the child in the story and go on an adventure. And so that's where the piece comes in, that I wanted to take it from I'm preaching or teaching to you to I'm putting you in an adventure, and you can learn what a tradesperson does as well as hands-on skills as well.
I love that. I think that with the rise of AI, I often wonder if we're leaving the trades out of the conversation. And I know we're going to get into it a little bit later, but I want to do a quick game. I'm going to name 3 trades, and you have to tell me which one you think a robot would have the hardest time pulling off. This is a big debate right now if these robots can do all these different skills. Like we see all these like videos of Figure One, Boston Dynamics, and all these different robots. Kids, feel free to ask your parents to go on YouTube with you so you can see like the robots dancing or doing skills. There was actually just recently a competition between a robot and a human in a factory to see who could do the skill quicker. The human won. I don't know if that's like, if the human seemed to go slow, in my opinion.
right. But the robot did too, because the dexterity.
Yeah, they both were going super slow. And I'm like, I think a human would have beat the robot even more than what it did. I think it beat about like a few hundred packages because they returned the package over. But still, the robot did a pretty good job in 10 hours compared to how close it was to the human. And they tried to like take an intern who didn't have the skill set. So they tried to do that. But I still think a human who had been doing the work would be able to like go way further. Either way, I'll get off my soapbox. With that being said, which one of these, I'm going to name some things, and you tell me which one do you think would be hardest for the robot to pull off. The 3 are a plumber, an electrician, or a wind turbine technician. You're going to pick one that you think it would be hardest for a robot to pull off, and you're going to tell me why do you think it would be hard for a robot to do that.
Wow, that's kind of tough. But I would have to say a plumber. Simply because when I think about a plumber and what they have to go through and what they got to get to in terms of getting behind a wall, going underneath the sink, and going into some pretty murky spaces, I think robots will be limited into their ability to address that particular trade. It will have some augmentation. Now, I will admit there's some things that I learned in terms of being able to have X-ray vision oriented
What does augmentation mean?
So basically, being able to take your role and improve it through technology. So where you were having to maybe manually document certain things, there will be tools that AI can do as it relates to taking notes, as we see now when you're able to take those notes to actually get that information into a system and provide you with an estimate in real time, as well as some of the technologies related to plumbing. As I've learned, like the VR, there's virtual reality oriented type of systems that allows you to see things through walls and see the schematics or the blueprint, if you will, of pipes. And so those are areas where I think it will be modified and AI will come to assist. But at the end of the day, if it's 9 o'clock and you just had a busted pipe because you just had a weather event, like I know in Texas a few years back, we had a ice storm. And in that ice storm, a lot of people's pipes bust. Well, if it's 9 o'clock, I'm not going to call Joe Robot to come and assist because I'm going to be frustrated because I'm having an issue in my bathroom. You're going to call Mr. Plumber to come help you in that regard. So I would say plumbing.
I love that. Not Joe Robot. Joe Robot West is hilarious. But the funny thing is, I was meeting with a plumber last year. We had a plumbing incident, and it was a scenario where they were using technology to figure it out. But it was interesting because he had to think of creative ways to figure out the problem. And at the end of it, I said to him, your job is not going anywhere anytime soon as it relates to AI. And he was like, yeah, I know. He said, it takes a lot to do this. And it would take a good amount of training to train a robot to do that. The other piece is that people don't realize a lot of the trades jobs, these people make six figures, which is amazing, especially for some of these roles. So I'm glad you call that out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you call builders, fixers, and makers heroes. What does a real life trades hero actually rescue, right? Because heroes need to rescue someone. At least that's what Spider-Man, Superman, Captain America, and all these people are doing, right? Give me a specific example, a problem only a human standing in a real room with real tools could solve.
So that's interesting, right? And that was one of the challenges that I was having when I was working on my book, was trying to figure out how can you connect trades to rescue? Because typically rescue is thought of when you think about police officers or fire rescue, or even in the hero genre in terms of Spider-Man and Superman and Batman and all those individual things. But I had to reframe it. And when you think about it, when you have a big major weather event or a catastrophe or a major event, who do you call? You do call those individuals, police officers and fire. But with respect to weather events or just random events that happen, you call a skilled tradesperson. And so I looked at that to say, well, there are heroes too, because they come to the rescue when you are having water damage in your home, or when you are having issues related to electrical issues because your lights went out. Or if you don't know how to build a house, they come to the rescue to build your home or something in that nature. And so I looked at them as being heroes too. And I would even go further to say for far too long, they've been the unsung heroes. Because if we go back in history, in the Industrial Revolution, most individuals worked with their hands. And so for a long time, trades has not always had the best image, if you will. It was looked at as other than, or that's for those who maybe can't make it in college. I wanted to just say that there's no one wrong path. There should be multiple paths, and providing youth with the opportunity to choose that path that may interest them.
I love that. And I think that's such a good point of the whole idea of unsung, or people that we didn't think about or put in the forefront, that they are the heroes, right? Because even now I'm dealing with some roof issues, and then I had a leak because we had a lot of rain and snow this winter. And I'm calling all the roof people that I can find. And I'm this is causing me stress, anxiety, and it's causing me to have damage in my homes because these things are happening. But they're literally coming in to help take away all those things. And I love that framing. Before we jump into the rest of the interview, I would love to do another lightning round. Are you down?
I'm ready. You got some good questions.
Thank you. So because you mentioned superhero, and we're going to go into superhero mode for this, I'll name a problem, and you're going to tell us which trades hero might be able to save the day with that problem. Are you ready?
Dun, 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 dun. Yes, I am.
I love that. I cannot. The lights, perfect. Bring that energy. Lights go out at school.
Electrician.
Okay. A sink starts leaking.
A plumber.
A playground needs to be built.
I would say a carpenter or construction crew.
Okay. A car will not start.
An auto mechanic.
Okay. A house is too hot in the summer. And it's going to be too hot this summer. You're in Texas.
Especially in Texas, yes, indeed. HVAC technician. HVAC.
There we go.
Because I've been without heat. I've been without ACR and heat, and it's not a pretty sight.
A robot helper needs a charging station.
An electrician or EV engineer.
I love
technician.
That. Mm-hmm. And then EV, for folks listening, means electric vehicle. And then HVAC is, I can't remember the acronym.
Heating, ventilation, air, and air conditioning. It's a long.
Okay, cool.
It's long.
Thank you, because I forgot what that one. I was something with AC and heat is the answer to that one.
Right.
A bridge in Trades Topolis needs repairs.
I'd say a structural engineer, a welder, and even maybe a civil engineer.
Okay, cool. And hopefully, kids, you're hearing jobs that are maybe of interest to you. If you hear one of these problems and think, oh, I would like to solve that, listen out for these jobs and look into them after this episode. And then last but not least, a kid wants to build the strongest cardboard tower ever.
A builder designer or that junior engineer that he or she is setting out to be for building that. Those were fun when I was little.
I love that. So this is exactly why I wanted this conversation on AI for kids, right? AI may help us think through a problem, help us to be creative and create words and things due to large language models, which the kids have learned through the ABCs of AI on the podcast. But people still need to understand the real world enough to solve these problems, because we're not at the point of robots doing these skills yet. And maybe we get there, maybe we don't. So we have to make sure that is part of the conversation. And to be honest, I want you to be honest with us. Could a robot ever really become a good plumber? Fix a leaky pipe in someone's grandmother's basement at 9 p.m. on a Sunday. Can a robot do that job in the future? What do you think?
Well, there's a lot of conversation about what a robot can and cannot do. But in my honest opinion, no. Because
Why no?
Well, because there's too much dexterity and other aspects that are involved. And again, as we alluded to,
dexterity?
Being able to understand the problem and being nimble to move around in tight places with respect to the plumbing issue, because it's behind walls. Yes, you may be having a AI robot come in, but you'll be able to talk to them, but they may not know how to understand you emotionally and be able to assess the problem. So that is what I mean in regards to that. And again, would you want a robot coming in your home at 9 p.m. to fix your plumbing or your electrical? Me personally, no. So there may be some bias there, but I don't see it in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay. And I don't think grandma would want it. In my example, grandma's basement, I think grandma would not want the robot there. But to your point, but to your point, the human hand, even as we watch some of these robots trying to learn, we are learning, even the Figure One robot, our ability to move our hands in different places and to squeeze it in there is a little bit different. And I do believe, I don't know if it's, I think I'm with you. I think the next 5, no. Next 10, maybe. The next 20, if we do it right, yes. And if they actually use different types of AI models, I don't think a lot of stuff we're using right now is going to get us there, because they would have to basically teach. The AI would have to have some version of understanding things, and it can't just be they've watched video and a whole bunch of stuff. I think things that are easy to repeat, yes. I think problems with plumbing or things like that is just harder, and humans are going to be needed way longer. But let's also flip that around, because you said you have bias. The kids have learned about AI bias in previous episodes. But what's something that AI could actually be good at that could help a tradesperson do their job better, not replace them, because we're interested in AI and tradespeople working together, but team up with them? What would that be?
Hi, friends. AI is super cool, but sorry, it's not perfect. And we're still learning about some of the problems and dangers it can have. That's why it's so important to explore AI with a parent, teacher, or guardian to keep things safe. AI is amazing, but your safety always comes first. Ready to dive in together? Let's go.
So I would have to say AI could be good for planning, being able to look up parts, being able to get to a decision much quicker, and being able to assist in areas where if there's questions that the client or the customer may have, that usually we have to, in those instances, you well, let me get back to you on that. Well, they can lean on to technology to get that addressed quite immediately and fix the problem and be that much more customer focused and customer centric. So AI can definitely assist in those roles. And what's interesting is what I'm noticing is even the leaders in AI, the CEOs from Anthropic, the CEOs of OpenAI are honestly falling back on how game changing, for lack of better words, AI is going to be. That it will not be necessarily taking over all jobs, so they're kind of walking it back. Now, that could be because they're going to have an IPO and they're going to be out the roof. But I honestly would think, as I'm seeing it, and I've been using it for some years now, and I see it as just a great tool. Now, there's other aspects of AI that I'm still learning about, agentic supercomputers, super intelligence. But right now, with what I'm seeing now, in my humble opinion, I see it. It's just a phenomenal tool.
That's a good point. And for kids, when Mr. Archie said IPO, that means initial public offering. That means they're going on the stock market, and their company, people can invest in it through the stock market. So that's just something to keep in mind. Archie, you kind of brought it up earlier, but I think I cut you off around the like AI vision. Can you talk about AI vision a bit? How some of these folks are thinking about using that?
Oh, I'm sorry. So AR. So
AR. That's what you said. Okay, great. Can you talk about that?
So what I'm seeing is how a lot of trades people are using, and how technology will impact the trades, is them being able to use tools and leverage those tools. So where you were not able to see a blueprint of what's going on behind a wall, well, we have the capabilities to now actually be able to project things on a wall to determine what some things may look like as it relates to plumbing. Same when we're looking at electrical work, well, there's a lot more safer avenues to determine like where currents and how currents are flowing. And so in that regards, those are where the tools and AI tools will come into place to help mitigate a lot of dangerous oriented tasks that are involved with trades. And so that is kind of where things are going, and where I see more or less how it can be a useful tool to assist trades professionals.
That makes total sense. And for kids, AR, you probably heard of this, AR, VR, like Archie was saying earlier. AR is augmented reality. So you overlay a technology on your glasses or et cetera, so you can see other things. And that's such a cool use for circuits that are dangerous. And if you click the wrong thing, you can get hurt, or you touch the wrong thing, you can get hurt. So I love that. So Archie, one thing that we did not mention that I definitely want to talk to you about in your book. So keeping to this whole idea of like working with AI and what that looks like. In your book, you talk about this whole idea of like teamwork and problem solving and how big of a deal those are. What can kids learn from trades about trying again when something does not work the first time?
Well, as that old adage goes, right? If at first you don't
succeed, try and try.
Yeah. If you
say
first,
it.
Okay. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And also, nothing beats a fail but a try.
I love that.
But nevertheless, in the trades, mistakes are not the end. And so you're able, and that's why there are apprenticeships, and you're able to learn. And that's why there are these new technologies. It's being able to learn from your mistakes, and being in this world of Tradestopolis, which is the city of trades, you are actually being introduced to concepts that you may not have otherwise been introduced to growing up. So when I thought about this some more, I was thinking, how I got introduced to even this space goes back to seeing my dad, who was a self-taught electrician. And I wanted to honor him and his legacy, as well as I have a grandfather who was a mechanic. And most individuals in my family, they worked with their hands. And so I saw that as individuals who left legacy, but also that they had an amazing skill set. And so when I looked at today, we have gotten away from that, are honoring those individuals. But with respect to your question, everything that we are learning and that we have learned has been through trial and error. And so I wanted to create this platform to introduce kids to these spaces, because I'm sure most of the kids who may know about these roles only know about the roles because they have a parent or relative who works in this space. And if we can learn about Doc McStuffins and all the cool things that are out there, why can't we be introduced to infrastructure in a fun and engaging way and learn how to work with that world? Because that's what runs the world.
I love that. And without those roles, all these other jobs don't exist, right? Like
right.
The doctor can't be in an operating room that wasn't created by electricians,
right? Construction
workers, and all these people who are doing that. So I think that's so important. And one other thing is that we didn't call out in the beginning is that you are actually an U.S. Army veteran. And my parents both served in the military. Most of my family served in the military as a job to learn skills and to learn different things to bring into the workforce. what did the military teach you about teamwork, leadership, and staying calm when you're trying to solve a problem?
Well, it's interesting, and thank you for acknowledging that. Service is the rent you pay for the space you occupy. And me having served my country is one of my most proudest moments. And what I learned during that time was a deep respect for teams, because the military is all centered around teams. You can't do anything by yourself. And it gave me a deep respect for discipline, preparation, being adaptable, and planning the work, and then working the plan. And also being able to solve problems and build community as well.
Yeah, I often tell folks that, but for my dad being in the Army and moving us around every 2.5, 3 years, it taught me how to be more resilient, to fit into any group, to meet new people, to work with people from different backgrounds. It really highlighted and helped me throughout my life. And it also helped him as a person coming out of North Carolina and my mom coming out of Mississippi. It helped them both to develop, like you said, the skill sets around discipline, creating plans, getting work done, and these intangible skill sets that will follow you for the rest of your life. So thank you again for your service. And I really appreciate how you brought all that together.
Absolutely.
And we talked about a lot of different careers today, right? And some kids are told there's only one path to success, whether it's because they watch something on TV or they see influencers and they think that there's only one way to make it. And it's often a very limited viewpoint, right? Why do you want kids and families to know there are many ways to build a good future for themselves?
Well, because I think that's important. And the goal is not to lower expectations. And I'm not anti-college. I am pro-choice, pro-awareness, and pro-possibilities. I want families to know that skilled workers matters, hands-on intelligence matters, and kids should not feel boxed into one version of what success may look like. They should see that there are options. And what I was thinking about is we are often learn about doctors early, lawyers early, astronauts early. Why? Because those are prestigious-oriented professions. But the same way we learn about those professions, why couldn't we add and uplift skilled tradespeople in the same light and just look at it as individuals who are working in noble professions? And it's on the same pier. And there's not this level of who does what better. Because honestly, when I was doing some more research, they call them the tool belt generation, I think it's Generation Alpha. They basically are looking at a job is just a job, not this hierarchy. People just want to be able to live, thrive, and build family and community at the end of the day.
That's a very good point. And the other thing, I said it earlier, but these skilled trades can make 6 figures. And especially if you start your own company, there are people who are doing this and making $1 million a year, running a plumbing company or electrical company, excuse me. So I want people to know that some of these jobs actually can be even better off than some of the things we hear about as it relates to jobs. So that's just something to consider, kids, if you're interested in any of these things.
And Amber, just real quick, I just have one more point on that. I'm glad you brought up entrepreneurship because, again, sometimes when people don't understand the totality of the world of skilled trades, they just see it as backbreaking, gritty, hard work, which it is. There is that aspect of it, but there's many successful people who have evolved it into entrepreneurship. So you can, it doesn't have to stop at you just working in that particular trade for the next 20, 30 years of your life. You could evolve into entrepreneurship and branch out to do other things. And the best yet, you still could decide to go back to college and get a degree, but you have that skill set as a foundation in the event that you pivoted from college at a later date.
Very, very true. And I know a good amount of schools used to, at least when I was growing up, you could get a trade and you could either do that to work while you're paying off college if folks want to go to college, right? At the same time, there's ways to even mix and match some of this stuff together. All that to say, kids, there's no one path, and we all have gotten to where we are, often not by having a clear picture, but by taking the next step and listening out to our mentors and learning as we go. And Archie, for the kid listening who likes Legos, right? Or drawing inventions, helping cook, fixing toys, taking things apart, or asking, how does that work? What would you tell them?
So if you like Legos, drawing inventions, as you said, helping cooking or fixing toys, that means that your brain is already practicing problem-solving skills, whether you realize it or not. So keep going, keep being curious, keep asking questions, because you may be a future builder, a designer, a technician, an engineer, I would say it's endless. You may be an inventor or an entrepreneur. Your curiosity is not weird. It's a tool. So I would encourage you to keep using it.
I love that. Anything else you want to share before I ask my final question? I just asked this to make sure we didn't miss anything that you wanted to highlight.
So in summary, I would say that's what Traceopolis is really about. It's helping kids see that the way they think, build, ask, or fix, and create can become part of their future in their world.
I love that. Last one. If a kid finishes this episode and only remembers one thing, because we know we said a lot of words and they need one thing to remember, what do you hope it is?
You say one word?
No. I'm sorry. One thing. It could be a sentence.
Keep dreaming, keep building, and keep fixing, because the world is not inherited, it's built.
And Archie, that's just such a great way to end our conversation today. Archie, thank you so much for joining us. I love this conversation because it reminds kids that the future is not just about screens, robots, and AI, even though this podcast is about those things, right? The future also needs people who can think, build, fix, test, create, and solve real world problems. For kids listening, AI may be one tool in your future. Not may, it will be. But your hands, your brain, your creativity, and your curiosity still matter. Maybe you will code an app. Maybe you'll repair a machine. Maybe you will design a building, right? Maybe you will use AI and a toolbox, because both can work together. There is more than one way to be smart, and there's more than one way to help your community. Families can learn more about Archie's work at torqueandtori.com, which will be in the show notes, and follow the Traceopolis journey. Also get the book. I will have the Amazon link in the show notes, and you can follow them on Instagram at Traceopolis. Archie, thanks so much for being on the show. Kids, stay curious, and we will see you in a few weeks. Thanks, Archie.
Thank you. Thank you, Amber.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us as we explored the fascinating world of artificial intelligence. Don't keep this adventure to yourself. Download it, share it with your friends, and let everyone else in on the fun. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. See you next time on AI for Kids.